Well, this is the chapter where we really begin to use OneNote, both to create and gather information in a notebook. In this chapter, we're going to do things like type in our own notes. We'll talk about what side notes are and how they work. We'll look at screen clippings, adding audio and video, pictures and files. You can even send from other applications directly into OneNote. We'll talk about that in this chapter as well. But before we get into any of that, let's start with the basics, and that's simply entering a new page and a new note in your notebook. I've opened up a notebook that we're going to work with here. If you've got the exercise files, you can follow along by going to the Lesson 2 folder and opening up this workbook called UserConf 1 2008. So if you open this one up, you'll see we've got 4 sections. One for meeting notes, one for workshops, one for travel information, and we've even got a to-do list section. Under meeting notes, the first tab, you can see we've actually got one page in here where we took some notes for a meeting that was held on September 2nd, 2008. There's some minutes down below. So we're just starting to plan this thing for next March, it looks like. And we've got our first page in our first section of our notebook. The first thing we're going to do is add a new page. It's so easy to do. We just go over here to the right-hand side and we click the New Page button. If I click this New Page button, I get a second page, which will appear below my meeting of September 2nd, 2008 page. But there is another option that you should be aware of. If you click the drop-down next to New Page, you can also create what's called a subpage. A subpage is actually a page that belongs to the current page. In other words, it's kind of like it's nested inside that second page. So if you want another page all by itself, you would choose New Page. If you want a second page that's part of the current page, you would choose New Subpage. We're going to just click on New Page. So here's my second page. It's currently untitled. Until I start typing in a title, untitled page will appear over here along with the date and time that I'm creating this page. So just for the sake of having an extra meeting in here, let's follow the same format as our previous meeting. For this page, we'll call it Meeting September 9th, 2008. There we go. Now when I hit enter, it's locked in. That's the name of my page. You see it over here now. There's a special tab just for that meeting. I currently don't have any notes down below though. Now it's time to start typing my first note. So if I wanted to start typing, I could right here where my flashing insertion point has gone to automatically. But the neat thing about OneNote is it's not like a word processor. You're not restricted by page sizes, for example, or locations. If I want to type a note over here on the right-hand side, I just click. Click anywhere on the blank page and you'll see your insertion point move there. You're ready to start typing your first note. Of course, notes can be moved around and organized and sized a little later on. If you've got multiple notes on a single page, no problem. In fact, as we move through the lessons in this chapter, you'll find we've got all kinds of different objects on our page, so it is easy to move them around and stay organized at any time. So I'm just going to click down here. Not quite in the center, but down below my title for meeting September 9th, 2008. And I'm just going to type in my first note. All I do is start typing. Now you can type whatever you like here. I'm just going to type in Shadow Laurier is the primary candidate for user conference venue. I'm going to hit enter. I move down to a second line. You can see there's a frame that's being drawn around my note as I type. I'm just going to type in multiple ballrooms available. And I'm going to hit enter one more time and just add a third line here for this particular note. Let's add one more line. Central location. Perfect. So there's our first note. We've typed in our lines. You can see the frame around the outside, kind of stretched to accommodate the longest line of my notes. But of course, I can move this around. As soon as I move to the top area, you can see a four-sided arrow appear, meaning I can click and drag if I want to move this over, maybe up a little bit. If I want to size this down, I can go to the right-hand side, for example, when I see the double arrow, I can squish it down. Everything will wrap around for me. Or I can stretch it out if I wanted to. I'm going to move it in just a little bit like so. And watch what happens when I click outside the note now. There we go. The frame disappears, and all I'm left with is the text that I type. And of course, I'm ready to start typing another note here because I clicked on an empty spot on my page. As I move my mouse over the note, you'll see that the frame reappears, just to give me an idea where that frame is if I need to resize it or move it again. Very simple stuff. When I'm done, just click outside the note to see the end result. So that's all there is to adding a note. Let's go back to the first page now, meeting for September 2nd. And just like I did on the second page, if I wanted to add an additional note here, I could click down here and start typing. So adding notes yourself using your keyboard, very simple. Click and type. Now there's another type of note you should be aware of. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about side notes and how to work with them.